Hey there, 276. By now, probably almost all of you have noticed that here in Replit, they have turned on by default AI generated code writing. So permit me two things here. One, to bend your ear for just a minute on AI and code writing and your probable fit in how that is going to be honestly, the environment that you are going to find yourself when you get to a production environment for producing code. But that's later. The more immediate thing we'll talk about also is how to turn that off. Because if I can use AI to generate code, I don't need you. So let's get through all of that, and the very last thing we'll do is show you how to turn off the AI generated code here in Replit. So just by way of example, I have the one of the file examples open here. And if I click on any line, it doesn't really matter where we are. I'll come down here to the very end of the file. And if you probably cannot see that, I'll come back up here to the sum of their number is, and I just click anywhere here inside of our code. If I click generate, you'll see the AI used to generate code right here. Window pops up, and parts of this can be alarmingly good at generating code. So let me explain to you, please, what AI code generation is doing here, and let me just describe to you the artificial intelligence that Replit and other things like Visual Studio Community, Visual Studio Code, put your favorite either IDE or text editor in here. All presently, at least all that AI generation really does is it has this tremendous catalog of a code base behind it that it can reference and use. So what Replit is using is the code base of everything not marked private in Replit. So there are very probably hundreds of millions, if not billions of lines of code here already in Replit that Replit can index, archive, and refer to as part of their artificially intelligent code generation. Now, there are going to be times where this is like genuinely valuable to a developer. So when a new developer comes onto a project, and they do not already have access to the entire code base that's going on here, Replit can use some of that code that's obscured from that developer to be able to help and suggest their way through things. And that really does enable a developer to save some time. It enables a developer to more rapidly deploy code. But what it does not do, number one, is really generate any new and creative code. It can simply refactor what it's already seen. The other thing it does not do is ensure that things are going to be correct. The AI, as we presently have it, can only infer from what it already has seen. So that means all of that code base that exists back here, someplace in Replit or GitHub or wherever else it is that we're able to take that code base and feed it into the AI models. So it can only base new code off of what it's already seen, and it's not always 100% perfect at doing that inference. So it's worth noting that, yeah, sure, there are absolutely positively there are applications here for which the AI is good, and potentially it'll be even necessary for some of the things that you do later on in a production environment as far as developing code goes. But in the meantime, what it does not do is, number one, even allow you to play with the code, to learn your way through it, to develop a muscle memory around what you're going to have to do to, create variables and looping structures, file structures, things of that nature. What it does is it obscures from you any and all of the opportunity you have to learn the how and the why about, how the code is really being put together. The other thing it does, it being the AI generation here, is exactly the same thing as copying and pasting from a website and changing maybe a couple of things, but maybe not even changing a couple of things like variables, etc. When I look at the code that is generated by the Repl AI model, I can see, because I have had, hundreds of opportunities to see what students have submitted. I've seen hundreds of opportunities of submissions that come from, I will say, elsewhere on the internet, and I can see those patterns there. And the inference engine that they use is really actually pretty good at reusing those variable names, the file types, the structures that you see, the indentation that you see, etc. And it is, and I will tell you, this is an ERIC consideration, this is a CIS consideration, and this is a much more broadly Rock Valley College consideration, that work has to be your own and it cannot come or be based on anything else. The problem with an inference engine is it is literally based solely on other things that have existed. So I'll give you the shortcut of that definition is that stuff is cheating. So to that end, I want you to learn so that when you go out into a production environment, somebody is going to say, wow, you're useful. As opposed to, you're useless. I could have just used the AI to do exactly what you just did, because that's what you've relied on this whole time. So what we are going to do is all of us in CIS, so this is all of you here for 276, this is all of us going to be moving over to 277. This is everybody who's going to take Java. This is everybody who's going to go to Python, etc. Let's turn off the AI capacity here. So I know that you cannot see it because it resides a little bit further down the page than you can see. But over here in the left-hand window, if you look at the very, very bottom, we have a grouping of tools. So at the very bottom of tools is user settings. When we click on user settings, if we scroll down just a little bit, you will see AI code completion. Turn that one off. If you scroll down a little bit more, actually it is the very next toggle, is AI advanced model. The advanced model, which will run all the time unless you turn this off, essentially enables the code that you generate to also feed back into, the code repository that the AI engine here inside of Repl can use. When you turn that off, I will tell you, it uses less cycles that, like the RAM and the CPU and the storage cycles that you are essentially competing against, so that when you hit run, for example, it doesn't take a very long time, or if however long it does take, it will take potentially slightly shorter amounts of time because you are no longer chewing through essentially your free allotment of CPU storage and RAM. So once you turn those both off, you'll see as I click over here in my code again, I haven't saved anything, but once you save, when you come out of the user settings and refresh the page, that AI generated code goes away. What I will have you keep on the other hand, is right here under the AI advanced model is code intelligence. Code intelligence is what you have had available to you this whole while, and that I argue is of tremendous, tremendous benefit to a developer. When you use code intelligence for things like system clear, as you are typing through system, it automatically gives you that Dropbox of available system functions that you can use, and you can get clear out of there. It saves you from typing. It saves you from typing in error, and that makes code better. It has been what you have used this whole time. When I declare on line number 9 in value 1, value 2, value 3, and as I go through and say C in VA on some other line, like, for example, I don't know, 16, it will populate for me the rest of value 1, value 2, and value 3. Genuinely useful for a developer. And it does not get in the way of you developing good, deep learning, deep understanding around the topics. It is an assistant that stays out of the way, whereas the AI code generation says, here, you take the backseat, I'll cover it for you from here. I will tell you in industry, if you are less useful than the AI tool, you are of no use to me, and that job goes to a different developer. So I understand there is no way for me to go through and confirm that everybody has done this. I'm going to remind you that I'm really good at pattern detection, and if that work is not your own, by now I have a pretty good understanding of what your work is. It will not take very long for me to discover that you have not turned off those AI generative tools, and then we'll have a conversation. But I actually rather trust that you all will do this. I have already spoken with a few students who do not like the fact that that is on. And if that is because that is too close to getting risky to burning your hand on the stove, I am perfectly happy to have that happen there too. So turn off in the settings the AI code completion, and turn off in the settings the AI advanced modeling. Once you save your settings and close back out, or simply refresh your REPL, you will find that those automatic generative tools are gone, and that you have retained your position in the driver's seat of your own, in this case, C++ journey. So I know that was a lot of stuff, probably more than you wanted, but it does go ahead and explain a little bit about AI, and it does go ahead and explain a little bit about your future in an AI world. So I'm happy we could have explored it. I guess I'm not happy they turned it on by default, but happy for the exploration.